So you want to learn how to use buses. Now this is something for me that took an uncomfortable amount of time to actually learn the concept of. I had a producer friend that would constantly tell me, hey, you need to bust things out. Hey, you need to save your computer. This will help. But for me, the concept was just a little bit too daunting. I'm gonna change that for you. Let's go learn how to actually use buses. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Phil, and in today's video, we're gonna go over some different ways that we can use buses as we're producing music to not only save our computer's processing power, but also it will allow us to make some more fine-tuned tweaks and automate some of the effects that we like to use. Now, if you're curious what a bus is, the easiest way for you to think about what it's doing is it's a power strip. So if I have 2 plugs in my wall and I wanna plug in 8 different things to get power, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna just plug them into the wall. They're all going into the outlet, right? It's the same exact concept. So now let's say I have a group of vocals and I want them all to have reverb, and I still want them to have different amounts of reverb. What I could do is I could just go throw a reverb plugin on every single track. It would work. My computer's gonna hate my ever-living guts. Or what I can do is I can bust them out. And all I'm doing now is I'm going to tell that track, hey, go look at this bus or go plug into this bus that has reverb on it already. I'll tell you how much, I'll control and tell you how much reverb to actually use, then send yourself to the overall master output. So now it's just a link in a chain to where my vocal is being sent to the reverb plugin. I'm telling it how much to actually use, and then it's being sent to the output. So now I'm only opening one instance of that plugin instead of multiple. Now on a small song, probably not a big issue, but you get into a 30, 40, 50 track song and you have effects on every single track, that's where your computer's going to hate you. So now let's go take a look and see what it does to my computer when I just have some of my tracks on this song with reverb, delay, and tremolo on it. But then we'll also take a look and see what the difference is when I bust those out. Let's go jump into Logic.
Battles raging, no doubt about it. No excuses until you try it. So when battles raging, no doubt about it. No excuses until you try it. You can take your time, but what you waiting for? We won't and feel secure. Battles raging, no doubt about it.
Now, depending on the DAW that you are using, the process may be a little bit different, but every single major DAW is going to have this feature to bust out. Here's how you do it in Logic. So let's mute the reverb we already have on the piano here. Now let's say this piano track is what I want to actually put some reverb on. Solo it out. Now I know what you're thinking. Hey Phil, you have the reverb right on the track. Why didn't you bust it out? And the reason is that's really the only track outside of vocals that is actually using reverb. So instead of busting it out and creating a whole new reverb track just for an instrument, I just threw it on there. It is an option. It's just if you're going to have multiple instances of the reverb, that's where you really want to start looking into busting it out. So to create the bus, I'll go to the track here, to the send area, and let's say I want it to be bus 4 here. So now I see that this track is being sent to bus 4. So it is now bypassing the master output channel. Now Logic automatically created aux4 bus 4 over here. Double clicking that down there, I can just name this piano verb. I can add the reverb that I want on there. Now if I solo out, I'm not going to hear it. Now the reason is, as we go back to this piano track here, I have it sent to bus 4, but this knob controls how much of that bus 4 effect am I actually hearing, or how much of this track am I sending to bus 4. So if it's down to the very bottom, I'm not sending this piano track to have those effects applied to it. So now you'll see I'll play it, and as I start to increase that knob, we'll slowly start to hear the reverb being introduced. On this reverb plug here, it's already at 50%. 50% would be if I was putting it on the track and I only wanted about 50% of that effect to be going through to the piano. In this instance, I am going to control the amount of that track, or the amount of reverb going onto my piano track with that knob. So actually what I can do here is put the mix all the way to 100%. And again, if this is at 0, we're not going to hear anything. That sounds pretty good. What it's allowing me to do is dial in this reverb the way I want it, and I can do all the effects on there and then just introduce the specific amount that I want on that piano track. Now the other way that you could do this, if you want to more easily automate this, put the bus to 100%. So now 100% of that piano is being processed. However now instead on the bus, we can use the fader. Now the fader will control the amount of that effect actually being applied to the piano. And now since I have the fader all the way down, we will hear there is nothing on the piano. And then you'll see me slowly bring the fader up. And now that fader's super low, right? So if I wanted to be able to have that fader be up a little bit more towards unity, or a little bit more control aspects, I can just bring the mix back down. I can bring it back down to 50%, and now when I play it, it'll allow me to introduce more. Some people like their faders to be a little bit more in the center. I don't really care as long as I'm getting the sound that I actually am desiring. But this will allow us to automate. But now let's say that I want to actually automate this reverb. With it being on its own bus, I can easily turn on and off that send, or with how we just did it to where we put that send all the way to 100%, and now the fader is controlling the amount of reverb on there, I can easily go over here to the bus, put it on touch. Now when you do this with Logic, it moves it over with the rest of the tracks, but all it did is it moved it up into my actual project to allow me to start automating it if I want to go in and fine tune it like I would any other track. But now with it on touch, I can actually automate the amount of reverb I'm exposing the piano to. Maybe I want to cut it off directly, or just introduce more at some spots, or take out some in some spots. This back to read, and now when I press play, we'll see that automation automatically happening. So it's just a really easy way to not only take it easy on your computer, but also allow you a lot more control over how much, when, and where you're actually applying that reverb. Now that same technique can be applied to any other effect you're wanting to add to multiple tracks, or even just one track. But the biggest takeaway is that it saves some of your computer's processing power, but it also allows you to fine tune the amount of effects and where you're adding effects. And then I could even add a EQ before the reverb, and then I can actually fine tune the specific frequency set that I want going into that reverb before it's actually processed. So there's a lot of power in doing it this way. So if you're not already using buses, now's the time to start. You should really try it. So let me know in the comments below if you've been using buses or if I showed you a new way to actually use buses. And if you like this type of video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. But until next time, I'm Phil. Keep creating music.